Hello, 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 and today we're going to be talking about one of my favorite tanks in War Thunder, and that is the Ferdinand. We have a lot of things to cover, but first things first, let me show you how to kill this thing. If you aren't, or you don't have more than 200 millimeters of pen, you have to shoot these cheeks that I'm looking at right now. There's no other way to kill this thing from the front. The Ferdinand is a bunker on tracks. It is the definition of a bunker on tracks. The front facing armor is all 200 millimeters flat. There's actually a little bit of angle on the upper front plate. Not the upper front plate, I guess the upper casemate itself. So those are the way to kill it. That's how you kill it. You have to shoot it in the cheeks and permafire it if you don't have the pen, over 200 mils of pen, to go through the front of the tank. Now that that's out of the way, let's talk about the Ferdinand in general. I love this thing. There are a lot of reasons why I love the Ferdy, but to touch it easily, it's a bunker on tracks. That being said, most bunkers on tracks, heavy tanks in War Thunder, we know have gone through some sort of power creep. There's only a few, a very small handful of tanks that have survived this constant power creep with adding new tanks, better pen shells at lower tiers. Now the Ferdinand in normal RB, not really a force to be reckoned with. Sure, it's a great tank. I really do like it as a tank destroyer, but it's slow. It doesn't really have any advantage on the battlefield itself. There are a lot of tanks at 6'7" or 6'3" that can pen it. And its gun, while it's a great gun, doesn't fire any munitions that can really deal with tanks in an up tier, I guess. When I say an up tier, I mean it's an 88. It's a great gun. I'm not going to knock it, but it doesn't show any outstanding characteristics. It doesn't fire darts. It doesn't do anything that these new fancy tanks do. It's because it's a World War II tank. But in sim mode, well, we got to talk a little bit about sim mode first. I know not everybody enjoys sim videos, but the guys who do enjoy sim videos have probably been sitting here waiting for another sim vid for a while. And this is for you guys. I plan on getting back into sim a little bit more. The reason I haven't been posting is because I haven't been playing it, honestly. I've been stuck in the RB grind. And, you know, sim, this game in particular, I played 5 matches today with some G Squad guys, and it really gave me that itch again. I remember why I like sim. Top tier sim has kind of been what I've been looking forward to. I've been trying to play a lot of top tier sim when I do play sim, and it always turns out bad. I always don't like it. And for whatever reason, there's like a mental block in my game where I don't want to play World War II stuff in sim. But whenever I take it out, I have a blast. And it's just like, Slick, stop being stupid. Keep playing World War II tanks in sim. They're excellent. They're super fun. But what do I mean by the sim issue with the Ferdinand? It's the same as any heavy tank. Heavy tanks in sim get one spawn, so generally if you're a newer player, I would recommend you don't play a heavy tank in sim. That being said, if you know how to use these vehicles, you can use them effectively. Not every game. Some games you're going to get bombed, and some games you're going against good people who know exactly what a heavy tank means in sim. An easy bomb kill, and that dude is out of the ground battle for the rest of the match. So my recommendations for you guys, if you want to take heavy tanks into sim, whether it be the Tiger II, the Ferdinand, the Jag Tiger, anything, it doesn't have to be German either, is know how to fly planes in sim, because there are going to be matches where you're playing this and you're going to have to spawn a plane because you get bombed off the bat. And another recommendation is have a lineup for sim. While you might want to play the Ferdy, not every map suits the Ferdy, so you might have to take the Panther out. For example, we played Wallonia before this match, and I played the Panther F. And before that game, I played the Jag Panther on Port Novorossiysk. Kursk is a perfect map, though, for the Ferdinand. You have to drive straight. Not many people can flank you without going through an open field that you can spot. And on top of that, I'm being a massive scumbag with the bushes. Some people are going to hate me for this, and inevitably there's going to be comments saying, oh, you bushed up, you're a puss, whatever. Listen, man, when the bushes came out, you could buy packs of 6. You can no longer do that. That being said, I'm not going to put myself at a disadvantage in sim. There are a lot of good players who play sim, and I'd rather make it hard for them to shoot my Ferdinand. With already such small weak spots, you don't need bushes, but when you bush it up, it makes it that much harder to pen. And I recommend that for any heavy tank. I'm at a disadvantage with 1 spawn. Some people are going to spawn T-44s with 2 spawns, etc., etc. So that's the foreground. When you do take out a heavy tank, though, and you know how to utilize it on a map that it's good for example, Kursk with the Ferdy, you can have a match like this. And this is why I'm covering this match. Again, I'm sorry there's no sound in the background. I recorded this with live audio, so there is audio if you guys wanted to hear it, but I figured I'd just talk about the match itself and, you know, kind of give you guys some tips and tricks on doing stuff like this, talk a little bit about the match and what's going through my brain at this time. So you saw me take some pop shots at people crossing the map, and I decided I'm going to go to B. B is a heavy concentrated point on Kursk. Everybody goes for it. Some people take the flanking route, but with a tank like the Ferdy, I'd rather be in a neutral position on the map where I can angle left or right if I have to shoot people on the wings, and I'll just go straight down the middle of the map or hold a street. For example, if I'm on Berlin, I'll hold the apartments or the hill on the other side of the map. And these are going to come out in the No BS map reviews. You'll see a lot more about how to utilize different variations of the map for yourself with the tank you're in. Because it's not as simple. This game isn't as simple as just taking a heavy tank out, going and clicking on tanks, or taking a light tank out and going and clicking on tanks. Certain maps require different flank routes depending on the vehicles you're playing and the vehicles you're playing against. Now, in this current sim mode, the most deadly vehicle that you can face is the AMX M4, in my opinion. Of course, there's the Pershing too. I think the Pershing's a really good vehicle for this event. But in terms of things that can pen the Ferdy frontally, not many things can. Of course, you can face an F7U, a Corsair, with snebs, 140 snebs or however many it gets. And that is extremely deadly for a heavy tank like this. Thankfully, they didn't come after me this match, and I was able to just push uncontested. So you see here, I pushed through, killed 2 guys on cap, and we're taking the B point. So we're just going to continue pushing forward. That's Danger to my right. He said, Slick, I'm going to go down to the dip on the right-hand side and start looking down towards C and seeing where other people are. And I said, okay, copy. I'm going to keep pushing towards their spawn because I don't see anybody here. We have the A cap, and we killed a couple people on B. So likely the rest of the people are either in planes or they're spawning up again, trying to come back and take B. And this is where you run into the non-teamwork. This team wasn't bad. Well, the enemy team wasn't bad players per se, but the way they worked together to deal with the threat as a Ferdy was absolutely terrible. And there's no other way to put it. They didn't deal with me 3-on-1, right? So when you deal with a tank like this in sim, you need to coordinate with your team, and that's where like the hardship comes from, you know? Not everybody's communicating, not everybody's telling each other where everybody is. And dealing with a tank that's as heavy as the Ferdy, as strong frontally as the Ferdy, you need to flank it or you need to work together. Multi-peak. If somebody knocks out my engine, I'm literally a bunker after that point. And the cheeks on the front, like I showed you in the beginning of the video, are the major weak spot on this bunker. If you hit that spot, you will kill the driver, you'll knock out the engine, and likely set it on fire. 2 fires, and you're out, you know? Well, 3 fires, and you're out. And on top of the 3 fires and you're out, the driver constantly gets replaced in War Thunder. There's no way to not have a driver. It will always happen. So if you keep penning that spot on a Ferdy, for example, you pen, you kill the driver, it's immobile. When the driver switches, there will be another crew member in there, and you can whittle the tank down that way because there will always be a driver. So while it will take multiple shots to kill, it's a sitting duck and you can do it. Now from the side, when you're shooting at the Ferdy, I didn't really talk about how to kill it from the side because it's pretty self-explanatory, but you want to shoot towards the back quarter of the upper side of the side armor because there are shells stacked vertically in the back of the turret. I say turret, it's not really a turret. In the back of the tank, it's a casemate. We get that. So here you see me just pushing across an open field, and this is where the Ferdy loves to live. It does. That being said, you're highly exposed to air targets. So if you have teammates, you got to constantly be talking about where the planes are, constantly be looking up, checking the skies, and making sure you're not getting attacked right that second. That being said, the guys in G Squad are talking to me. You see, I see that M18 there. I can't turn around. If I turned around here and tried to shoot that M18, it would have been disaster. There's tanks coming from the enemy spawn. They'll see a Ferdy side on, and they would have probably killed me. So what I did was I just marked it, talked to Pred, who was in the squad, and I said, hey, there's a M18 that just scoomed past me. He didn't see me, thankfully. If he saw me, it would have been lights out for me. But he didn't see me, and that's the risk and reward of pushing through an open field with the Ferdinand. You put yourself in a vulnerable position to hopefully get good shots on the enemy team. And that's like ultimately what War Thunder's about, risk and reward. How can you do the most amount of damage with putting yourself in the least amount of danger? And that's pretty much it. So I'm going to continue pushing the enemy spawn. Now, some people will say, hey, Slick, you're a spawn camper. What else am I to do? I'm not going to just sit on B and wait for these guys to crest the ridge. I could do that, but that's pretty boring for me. I'd rather continue to push and see how many kills I can squeeze out in this match in the littlest amount of time. I mean, that's games for you. That's what you do in video games. That's how I try to play. So I'm constantly pushing and dealing with these guys one at a time. And you can see how they're fighting me and what I'm talking about with them not working as a team. If that M18 saw me, didn't drive straight out to be like, you know, a silly guy, he probably could have put a shot in me and killed me. That would have been my game. But on top of that, an M19 not paying attention, a T44 knows where I am, probably didn't call it out for the enemy that spawned up. Another enemy spawns up and tries to shoot me frontally. They're wasting shots at this point. Tracking me would have been the best thing to do because I'm slightly angled right here. So if I got tracked and I had to turn the tank using one track, if that track gets knocked out, I'm completely immobile. But on top of that track not being knocked out, I have a repair that I'm obligated to do if I want to move again with the track. So every time I move, it stops my rep, and I'm not able to do it. So, you know, that's where the smartness comes into play. Being smart and being able to take advantage of a situation. While some people might look at the Ferdy as OP in this situation, the enemy team might say, hey, I'm never playing Sim again. The Ferdy in this tier is overpowered. Some other people might look at it as like, hey, that's a challenge. That's a big tank to deal with. And I know how to do it. It's going to be tough, but if we get it done, it will feel ultimately rewarding. And, you know, that's kind of how I keep myself a little bit positive playing War Thunder. I like games like Dark Souls. Dark Souls really makes you want to rip your hair out. It's very challenging. It's super fun because of the reward you get after doing something like that. And a lot of people don't really like games like that, I've noticed, especially with War Thunder and whatnot. They kind of just want everything handed to them. They want to pen everything, they want to be able to flank everything, they want the fastest, they want a gold, etc., etc. But if you're willing to accept the challenge of Sim and dealing with parallax and dealing with tanks like the Ferdy, vehicles that actually are good in their habitat now, because that's what I think Sim does really well. That's why I think it's the most complete game mode, even though I don't play it a ton anymore. Is because these vehicles get their light, they get their limelight, they get to do what they do best against vehicles that have to have challenges dealing with them. And, you know, obviously the big factor is the one spawn. If I had a Panther F, while that's easier to pen for a T44, I get 2 spawns, so likelihood of him killing me and me coming back and trying to kill him, very high. That's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to come back and try to get him. Whereas something like the Ferdy, the Mouse, anything like that in top tier, like I said a billion times this video, you know, you can't spawn again after you die. It's really, that's it. And a lot of people will take these vehicles into Sim. That was a disgusting shot, by the way. I just flicked it into the smoke because I saw where the smoke landed. A lot of people will take these heavy tanks into Sim and not have planes. So effectively, they're not helping the team if they don't do anything. And for a heavy tank, if you get 2 kills, I would say that's pretty respectable. Your heavy tank 1 spawn is probably worth 2 or 3 kills if you're going to bring it out. If you're not going to bring it out, I would say a normal spawn 1-to-1 in a 2 spawn tank is pretty good for Sim. That's what you want to do. That's what you're aiming for. But in a heavy tank, you have a bigger job, a bigger role, and it's not easy to play. And I'm sure a lot of you guys will understand that. It's easy to look at this gameplay and say, wow, that looks like the easiest shit I've ever seen in the Ferdy. It looks completely easy. What you don't see is the countless times, not today, but the countless times that I've played in the past in the Ferdy and Sim and died to planes immediately. Or, you know, get bombed up the start, because planes can spawn as soon as the match goes up. There's no wait timer, there's no SP in Sim. It's all based on one plane spawn and then your tank spawn, depending on what kind of vehicle you have. So, just knowing the game after playing for a while, you know, I'm not going to take the Ferdy out onto maps that I don't feel comfortable taking the Ferdy out into. I still, to this day, go by the heavy tank rule that if you can't squeeze out a good game in the heavy tank, I mean, you probably shouldn't be playing it. And it's not something to be spammed out every game. It's kind of a treat to play. I'd much rather play a medium tank and do my damage in that. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know by leaving a like on it and subscribing to the channel. There will be more Sim videos in the future, and I will probably have another video out later on today to talk about some tips and tricks for grinding Operation Heat. Overall, this was an 11 kill game. We're going to move up and kill one more guy coming out of the spawn. 11-0 in the Ferdy. Was it luck? Yes. Was it skill? Sure. Will I get it again? Probably not. Probably not. So I hope you guys enjoy the rest of this. Stay looking out for that tips and trick video. Be sure to click that bell so you get notified. There's a couple different options now on YouTube. I know they've been changing their algorithm and stuff like that. But if you're curious and you want to know how to grind this Operation Heat, or at least how I'm doing it, that's how you do it. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you all for watching. Deuces. And then that's my Ferdy for the rest of my sim life.
Sounded like an Abrams.
I swear. I swear. Oh yeah, he's right here. What is this boy? A dead boy.